Good evening. It's Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, and this is the City of Clayton City Council meeting, and welcome. Call this meeting to order. Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz? Yes. Councilmember Juan?
Here.
Councilmember Wolf?
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Tillman?
Here.
Mayor Cloven?
I'm here as well. And with that, we'll go to the meeting protocol video. Please, Janet.
Tonight's meeting will be conducted both in person and remotely via Zoom. As a courtesy and technology permitting, members of the public may continue to provide live remote oral comment via the Zoom video conferencing platform. However, the city cannot guarantee that the public's access to teleconferencing technology will be uninterrupted, and technical difficulties may occur from time to time. This meeting is also being webcast on the City of Clayton's website. The mayor will call upon its council, presenters, staff, and other speakers by name and ask that they speak clearly and state their names before giving comments or remarks. The mayor will call on members of the public that are attending in person first, and then shall call on members of the public that are participating via Zoom. Persons participating via webcast and Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members of the public participating in person wishing to speak on an item may submit a speaker card with the city clerk. Members of the public participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. Telephone attendees will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their name, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received by the Clayton City Clerk by 5 p.m. today will be entered into the record but will not be read out loud. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they are free to do so and should raise their hand and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. The chat feature is not active. In order to get the full Zoom experience, please make sure your application is up to date.
Thank you, Janet. And that will close item number 2. We're going to move on to item number 3, which is our Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. And with that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is our consent calendar. We have items A through E, and I'll go to the council. Are there any items in particular that any council members like pulled for discussion? Seeing none, I will open the consent calendar item up for public comment. If there are anyone in our audience, which is quite a few people today, which is awesome, and then on our virtual audience out there that would like to comment on this particular item, number 4, please raise your hand. Janet, are there any?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Excellent. I just want to ask one question of our city engineer. Just wanting to hear from you that you're satisfied with the work that was done on item E, and just to you real quickly. I don't want to necessarily pull it, but I just want to hear that you're satisfied.
Good evening, Larry Thies for the record, city engineer. Regarding your question, Mayor, yes, we're satisfied with the work that was completed. However, as stated in the staff report, we did have a pay deduction for a certain element of work that we felt wasn't quite up to the standard that was necessary. But other than that, the work is ready to be complete. This is a perfunctory process where we have to file a notice of completion that allows any potential subs or anyone who has any payment claims their opportunity to put that in, and then after 35 days after tonight, or technically after it's recorded, probably tomorrow, then we can release the 5% retention.
Thank you. Appreciate that. If there are no other comments on this or questions, I will go back to public comment. There are no hands raised. We'll close public comment on this item. And with that,
Move approval.
got a
Second.
approval from Councilmember Juan, a second by Vice Mayor Tillman. That means I did again. Councilmember Diaz, second by Vice Mayor Tillman. And we call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Diaz? Councilmember Juan?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tillman?
Aye.
Mayor Cloven?
Aye. And with that, the consent calendar passes 5-0. And we'll move on to item number 5, which is what we've been waiting for this evening. We're going to recognitions and representations. And item number 5A is the administration of the oath of office to Clayton's new Chief of Police, Richard McKitchen, Jr.
Janet, if you could, I have some preliminary remarks before the oath, actually. Just a few little things. Thank you. Very efficient, but I'm going to slow it down momentarily. So good evening, Mayor and City Council. It is with great pleasure this evening that I both get to thank Chief Crines for his service as our interim chief for the last several months, as well as welcome Chief McKitchen back to Clayton, this time as chief. Chief Crines has done a couple of tours as our interim chief and has done a great job in helping our police department continue to move forward during the transition period. So I really want to thank him for all of that assistance. He's been a great member of the team as we've moved through this. He also really helped us complete the recruitment process, which was very helpful. The process involved 2 panels, a professional panel made up of 4 other chiefs from various jurisdictions in the greater Bay Area, as well as a community and staff panel that had a couple of our planning commissioners, as well as a staff member. Those were followed by interviews with myself and Chief Crines, as well as a couple of other staff members. So we really had a great process. We had great candidates, and I'm very pleased to have Chief McKitchen joining us, coming back to Clayton. I think his knowledge of the community, experience, relationships, et cetera, really make for a great transition for us. So that's a terrific opportunity for us. So with that, Madam Clerk, if you and the Chief would complete the oath of office, I would be grateful.
You ready? Yes. Okay. So go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Richard McKitchen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to
that I will bear truth, allegiance, and faith to
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Welcome back. Go ahead and sign here.
And Mayor and Council and Chief, there is one more component to this process, and that is the traditional pinning of the badge. And I would like to ask Chief McEachin to call up whoever he would like to have do that pinning of the badge. I have the badge. I feel like a ring bearer, right? You know, I said to him earlier, it's like if I forget the rings at the altar, you can remind me, but I'm remembering. So with that, Chief McEachin, if you would call someone up, and I will bring you the badge for the pinning ceremony, and then ask you to make some comments as well.
I would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This means a lot to me. I have a lot of family members here, past coworkers and former chiefs. Chief Crines, thank you for everything that you've done, and thanks for getting me up to speed yesterday. I appreciate that. And like I said, I'm sure I'll be calling you and asking you some advice. Chief Dan Lawrence, thank you for hiring me when I got here. You also promoted me. Thank you. And when Chief Lawrence retired, then Chief Thorson came. And anytime you get a new chief, and you guys are probably all going through this, it's like, geez, are we going to like the new chief? Are we going to hate him? We weren't sure. Chief Thorson came in, did a great job, and I really enjoyed having you around as well. And Chief Thorson encouraged me to go back to school and get my degree. He said he'd love to see me be the chief here one day, and here I am. Thanks to my mom, my daughter Whitney. Unfortunately, my son Trey, he works for Axon, who makes the tasers. He's in Arkansas right now doing installs of patrol cars, so he couldn't make it. Thank you to all the police department, the people that I knew already. It's been nice to catch up with you guys and kind of get my feet wet again. To all of you that I don't know and I've just gotten to meet, I'm really looking forward to working with all you guys. And I've heard really nothing but great things about everybody, and so I think it's going to be a really enjoyable time. I see Russ Eddy back there. Welcome, Russ. Russ was a reserve here for about 75 years, I think, and we love Russ, and I look forward to seeing you and chatting and catching up with you again. And Alan White is also here. Alan was my first FTO. Actually, Tim was my first FTO. Alan was my second FTO. Alan taught me a lot about this city, and I'll be forever grateful for that. Retired Sergeant Rich Ania. I never got to work with Rich, but I've gotten to see Rich here and there, and it's nice to see you here, and I'm glad you guys are back in Clayton. Welcome back. And everybody that I don't know, the community, council, thank you guys, and I look forward to working with you guys as well. Sorry, I'm going to turn this around. To Raina, thank you for having faith in me and hiring me, and I really look forward to working with you. It's kind of bittersweet because it's short term, but in that little bit of time, hopefully we can get some stuff done. All right. Thank you guys very much.
It is awesome to have you on board. Thank you. And it's wonderful to have you back. Since you've been here before, you understand what a special place Clayton is and how important our police staff are in our community policing and what a part of our community you are. And that is a blessing to have you here. So thank you. Any other comments?
I've got a comment. First of all, we have some stellar former chiefs out there, and I want to make sure they got recognized. Dan Lawrence, who I believe hired Rich initially, and Chris Thorson, who actually took him over to Oakley, where he began his rise up the command structure. Because the one thing that Rich epitomizes is that in Clayton, we don't have that command level to get that experience. And he did exactly what was prescribed for several years. He rose to sergeant here, and then he moved over to one other department, Oakley, and then he went down to Dos Paus to be the chief down there, getting further command experience and comes back. He just fit the model perfectly. And the fact that he had spent 11 years with us, went out and did all of the things he needed to do to really become a full-fledged chief of police. It's very commendable. And I know we had some great people that helped tutor him. Again, Dan Lawrence, Chris Thorson, Joe Crines. Joe has been stellar in his taking care of this department on an interim basis at least 2 times. Is that right, Joe? And you can't say enough about the work he did to help get us to where we are today. I also want to recognize out in the audience not only the Clayton Peace Officers Association that's here tonight with their president, Rich Aeneas Jr., and Tim Marchute and Jason Shaw, but we also have out there Russ Eddy, who was one of our reserve officers, and we have Alan White, who is one of our former officers, now retired as well. And I'm trying to think. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. We had invited others, but some of them were under the weather. Pete Peterson, for example, one of our first transitional chiefs of police that came to us from the Oakland Police Department. So great history of chiefs and support for people like Rich to go out and do what they needed to do to ultimately come back and fill that need here in Clayton. And it worked out so well. The best candidate we had. Thank you.
I just wanted to take a couple seconds to thank Chief Crines for filling in as well. He's been here for a few months, and I had the opportunity to meet with you a couple weeks ago, and I want to thank you again for taking the time that you did with me to give me your perspective on where we should go from here as a city, and also welcome and congratulate you, Chief McEachin. I'm looking forward to working with you as well, and helping us get on that path to getting some stability here so that we aren't having so much turnover. And it's great to have somebody who knows the community, who's been here before, who clearly has a lot of friends here in this city, and to see a lot of old familiar faces. Alan White was my buddy back when my kids were in elementary school. And so a lot of people I know didn't like you, but you were one of my favorites, just so you know. I know that's hard to believe, but he really is. And then just some other friendly and familiar faces. It's great to have some stability and see that there's nice smiles here, and I'm looking forward to us moving forward. So welcome and congrats.
Excellent. If there's no more comments, that will close item number 5A, and we'll move on to item number 5B, which is not exactly as exciting, but it's still important. This is an overview of AB 2011 and SB 6. We're going to turn that over to our city attorney and the community development director.
Happy to allow.
No, you have to stay. This is the best part of the meeting. You're going to miss it.
Thank you. Really?
Have fun. Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy. Let's say goodbye.
Back to a regular chamber. Look at that.
And just like that,
I guess I know how to clear a room, huh? Just start talking about
Marla,
housing
you
laws.
definitely have the touch. All right. Yeah, probably. And we're back. All right, we're going to continue with item number 5B, which is an overview of AB 2011 SB 6, and we'll bring it to you, our City Attorney Mala. Go ahead.
Thank you, mayors and members of the council. I'll be giving a brief overview of these two bills. The main points of these two bills is that they allow housing development projects in areas that are zoned for commercial and retail. So they have many similarities, but they also have some distinctions that I'll go over. I will just wait. There we go. The PowerPoint is up. So we'll start with AB 2011. It is effective as of July 1 of 2023, and that's also true for SB 6. AB 2011 has a ministerial review for qualifying multifamily housing projects. So it must be multifamily. And it also must be projects that are located within specific zones. You'll hear me say this a couple times because it shows up both for AB 2011 and for SB 6. The project has to be on a site that's zoned for office, retail, or parking, where those sites are the principally permitted uses. And the projects have to be either mixed income housing projects or they have to be 100% affordable housing projects. So there's an affordable component to the projects under AB 2011. That's not true under SB 6. Under AB 2011, there's no CEQA process or no CEQA review for these projects. There are certain requirements to pay prevailing wage and to comply with certain labor standards, and there are new processing deadlines for these types of projects, depending on the size of the projects. If the project is 150 units or more, we have to process and consider the project, approve it or deny it within 180 days. If it's less than 150 units, it's 90 days. And objective design standards apply to these projects. The areas where these projects can go depend on the type of affordability. So for both the mixed income projects and the 100% affordable projects, they're again in these zones for office, retail, or parking where they're the principally permitted use. If it is a mixed income project, it can also be on a site that abuts a commercial corridor and has a minimum of 50 feet of frontage along the commercial corridor. The project has to be a multifamily housing project. It cannot be on property that contains 1 to 4 dwelling units. It's got to be located in a city such as Clayton that is an urbanized area or urban cluster. And then in addition, it can not be on or joined to a site that has more than a third of dedicated industrial uses. It also has to the site has to satisfy certain 35 environmental criteria. It can't be like on a flood zone, can't be in a very high fire hazard zone, certain earthquake zones. So there's certain additional environmental criteria that have to be complied with. If the site is vacant, it cannot have tribal resources that could be affected by the development. And as I mentioned earlier, separately from the SB 35 requirements, it can't be on a very high fire hazard severity zone. In addition, it can't be located within 500 feet of a freeway or 3,200 feet of an oil or natural gas extraction or refinery. If there are commercial tenants that are going to be dislocated from the project or the property, there could be a requirement to pay relocation expenses by the applicant. There are additional requirements for sites when it's a mixed income project. The site cannot be, the site has to be 20 acres or less, so it can't exceed 20 acres. It also cannot have affordable housing that's already protected by deed restrictions or required by local ordinance. It can't have housing that's occupied by tenants, and it cannot have a historical structure. The type of affordable housing that has to be included in these projects depends on what type of projects come forward. So if it's a mixed income project and it's a rental project, then 8% of the units have to be very low income and 5% have to be low income. Or otherwise, 15% have to be lower income. If it's an owner-occupied project and not a rental project, then 30% have to be moderate income or 15% have to be lower income. If they're using the 100% affordable project component, then all of it has to be affordable and dedicated to low-income residents. There will be deed restrictions to protect these units, and if they are rental units, then they'll be protected for 55 years. If they are owner-occupied units, they will be protected for 45 years. So they cannot be sold to anyone within those time periods unless they meet the affordability requirements that I mentioned earlier. The project applicant or developer will have to pay prevailing wage to construct the project, and depending on how many units are built, if it's more than 50 units, then certain construction craft employees have to be used, and if there's at least 1,000 hours of subcontracts, then there can be an apprentice program and healthcare contributions. All of this has to be documented in monthly compliance reports that are then given to the city. SB 6 also allows for residential housing on sites that are located in an office, retail, or parking zone, where those are the principally permitted uses. As I mentioned earlier, it's also effective July 1. There's no affordability component to SB 6 projects. The projects need to be either 100% residential, or they can be a mixed-use project, but 50% of that mixed-use project has to be residential. SB 6 does not have a special ministerial process that applies to it, so CEQA is required. It can utilize SB 35, which is the ministerial streamline review process, but has to go through the procedures and requirements for that. As I mentioned earlier, there's no affordability requirement for SB 6 projects. They do require payment of prevailing wage and utilization of skilled and trained workforce. So the project has to be all residential, or it has to be mixed use, as I mentioned, with 50% being dedicated to residential uses. Also, similar to the multifamily income projects, the site has to be 20 acres or less, so it cannot be a site of 21 acres or more, and then located in a city such as Clayton that has an urbanized area or urban cluster. Also similar to AB 2011, it can't be on or adjacent to a site that has a third of its use dedicated to industrial uses. If we had a sustainable community strategy, it would need to be consistent with applicable and approved strategies. Similar again to 2011, if there are commercial tenants on the property that are going to be displaced by this project, there will be a potential payment of relocation expenses to those tenants. The project will require payment of prevailing wage to the contractors, and it will also require using a skilled and trained workforce. Those monthly compliance reports that I mentioned, in order to show that they're meeting the labor requirements, must be given to the city on a monthly basis. Those are kind of that's the high level picture of these two bills. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I was the one who, thank you for doing this, by the way. It was my request after I saw that these these were coming through. Just in general, will these affect, I think my answer is going to be no, but will these affect the housing element that we're going to approve in January? Does this come into play at all with any of the sites that we have designated in the draft housing element? Excuse me.
Good evening, council members. Dana Ayers, Community Development Director. The majority of the sites, and I'm going off of memory, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for your question, but the majority of the sites that I recall that are identified in the housing element are currently zoned residential. There are sites within the town center that do have a mixed use or commercial designation that are currently identified as potential inventory sites. None of this in the presentation, I believe, would change the assumptions that we've used in how we have projected density. Nothing in the statute changes density. It's more of a procedural process that's revised. It's not like a density bonus requirement.
Thank you.
Any other questions before I sit down? Okay.
No,
I mean, it's good exercise to get up and down too, but
you asked.
Okay, I did.
So, I mean, just looking at our property relative to commercial land, really, it's Clayton Station is our largest commercial parcel, and it seems relevant to these two bills we spoke about. Does that seem like a logical conclusion?
Certainly, the Clayton station would qualify because it does allow commercial, retail, and office as its principal uses. Practically, that was one of the sites that one of our planning commissioners asked us to consider as a potential housing inventory site. And when staff approached the property owner, property manager to inquire about possibly doing a mixed-use development there was no interest. But yes, technically, that site would be an eligible site under SB 6 or AB 2011 because of its commercial zoning.
Let's look at it practically with all the regulations and requirements. It just seems like it'd be difficult to pencil something out with the low-income housing portion and then commercial portion and the prevailing wage and all the requirements. There's something missing in the whole equation that would not seem to make that happen. So it's just an observation. Any other questions from council? If not, we will open this up for public comments since it is a report. And are there any comments from the audience here locally or virtually? Janet?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
All right. And with that, public comment is closed.
One just
Whoops,
went up.
one just came. I just missed that. Go ahead.
So, Maria, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Hello? Hi.
Maria, we can hear you.
Good
You have to
evening,
speak up a little bit.
For the SB 6 and 2011, my question is, I understand that Clayton Station isn't interested in building. And developers from the conferences that I have been to for planning, they had developers there and they expressed concern about being able to even develop due to having to pay labor wages. So I'm wondering how with all of these new laws that it's going to pan out, because they had numerous developers there and they're raising concerns that they won't even be able to build it because they have to pay labor wages, living wages, and it doesn't jive with the low income to low income. So I'm a little confused about all these laws that they're putting out and how it's going to get built for smaller communities like ours. So it's just a question that I'm posing. So maybe Dana could look into that or not. That's it.
Thank you, Maria. Janet, are there any other hands?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
And this is an item for information. There's no action on this tonight, and appreciate Vice Mayor Tillman for bringing it up and for our city attorney for explaining this, as well as our community development director for answering the questions. And Maria, yes, I concur with your questions. There are some interesting challenges that seem to be counterproductive in it, but we'll see how somebody tries to pencil it out and see if it ever comes to fruition. Any other comments from council? Excellent. With that, we're going to close item number 5B, and we'll get on to city reports. And we'll start, this is item number 6, and start off with our city manager, item A. Go ahead, Raina.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just one item for update this evening. The application period for Community Financial Sustainability Committee is still being held open. We had as of yesterday, we had received 3 applications. I think one more may not have come in yet, but we thought one would come in. Since we want a 5-person committee with certain experience, we're holding it open for the time being, but please talk up that opportunity to your friends, colleagues, and folks that you know in your circles so that we can have applications. I hope by the end of the week we will have sufficient applications. Our goal is to have a Budget and Audit Subcommittee meeting on November 28th to review and interview as needed for members of that committee so that they can be appointed by the council in December to be ready to start serving in January. So please talk that up. We want to make sure we have a robust committee for that process, and that's my update for this evening. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, did anybody that you know of apply for that mosquito abatement district? Not a single person? I suppose we need to talk that up too.
I would focus on the community financial sustainability for the moment. Just
Okay.
No offense to the mosquito and vector abatement, but the immediacy of the other, I would appreciate over the mosquitoes.
Excellent. That closes item number 6A. And we'll go to our city council reports. And Councilmember Juan, you get to go first.
I've actually been traveling quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, so I haven't had time to field as many phone calls and emails as I normally would like. But just a quick plug. After our meeting, I'm having a little thing over at Ed's. Everyone is welcome. I know there's a few folks on the line. Come down. It's a recognition of the end of the election. So that's it. So come on down.
Thank you, Councilmember Juan. Vice Mayor Tillman.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Let me try to get situated here. It's pretty brief, although there were a couple of meetings. On the 2nd, we had a TLC meeting, and we were able to approve the 2020 fiscal year end, correct? 2020 fiscal year end. Yes. 21. FY21 annual report. And then in December, we will be doing the fiscal year 2022. We'll be approving that one. And that date is TBD. I can't remember if we have a date for that one or not yet. I don't recall.
I believe it'll be December 19th, but I am awaiting confirmation from the full committee.
Perfect. December 19th. And then that will get us on track, which is great because we've been delayed for a couple of years due to COVID, et cetera, with getting those approved. And now that we have a full committee now of 10 people, since we just had another one join, we are now at full capacity and they're all up to speed and getting us back on track. On the 3rd, I met with Chief Crines, which I alluded to earlier. That was a nice meeting that I had with him before he leaves and finishes his tenure here. I also attended the mayor's conference that evening in the mayor's stead, and we heard a presentation from the Port of Oakland Executive Director, Danny Wan. Is he any relation? No? Okay. He did a great one. He said that actually there's another strike. This time it's with the clerks. And so a lot of people are thinking that it's just the trucks being able to take the boxes off the ships, and that's not it. It's actually admin now. So what's happening now is people realize, those who have been ordering supplies realize that it's cheaper to just go ahead and leave them at the port, which is a problem for all of us, not getting our things that we need. They realize that instead of trying to have someone come and paying, having people come on to empty them for them. And let me get this right. Hold. Don't ad lib. Let me tell you what he said. Sorry. There we go. Okay, that there's security precautions that they had to put in place due to the new clerk's port strike, and that there are boxes that are being left there. The question was asked whether or not there are penalties that are being placed on the businesses that are actually just leaving them there, and to date there aren't any. He also gave an update on trucks that are older than 2009. They will no longer be able to be allowed in California ports. I can't recall the date that he said that was going to go into effect, so that's a huge issue that they're going to have to look into and how they're going to implement that since there's low funding. And then he also said that since the pandemic, there's 91% airport recovery since they actually oversee not just the Port of Oakland, but also the airport. In addition to that, we also had a lot of appointments for different committees. So Carlin Obringer was reappointed to the East Bay Regional Parks District Advisory Committee. The Local Agency Formation Commission, or LAFCO, Mayor Tom Butt of Richmond and Mayor Rob Schroeder of Martinez are both retiring. And so they appointed, we had to vote, and Gabe Quinto, who's the mayor of El Cerrito, and Scott Perkins will now be heading those two. Those will be the two that are in charge. Cindy Silva is now going to be our representative for ABAG. And there are a couple of other commissions that need appointments. I won't go into detail on those, but they're looking for people. If you're interested, they said to, and this goes to and whoever's mayor, if you're interested, you can apply for a couple of these positions. On the 10th, I attended the League of California Cities League Leaders meeting. I mentioned in the last meeting that I was newly appointed as the vice chair of the Community Services Policy Committee. There are a lot of, they asked us to let everybody know that effective January, there are going to be a lot of new laws that go into effect, and look for early budget action items in January as well. And if you want to learn about the new laws, webinar that was recorded, and the meeting was this past Monday. What else? I've met with Dana and Raina. I've also met with several people in the community regarding the wiffle ball field and the Clayton community gym rentals, as well as the Pride Committee. And also want to give a couple of reminders that on this Saturday, the CBCA has the downtown holiday decorating, and they're looking for a lot more volunteers so that we can actually have the Christmas tree lighting ceremony. They don't want to have to cancel that. And so if anybody who's on the line or in the room, they need volunteers from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can sign up on the CBCA website or the holidays at claytoncbca.org by tomorrow. And do not forget that there's the Mayor's Conference holiday party. I know Janet sent us all an email. I will not be attending, so that leaves a spot for anyone who's interested to attend. And that is my report for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Tillman. Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I met with our city manager, met with our mayor, and also met with the CBCA board and the CBCA current president a couple of times, and the CBCA barbecue committee. That looks to be coming up, as we've talked about, possibly in August, so that's yet to be determined. Should be a fun time, though. And also met with the Pride Committee. And since I think this is my last report, right? This will be my last report. Well, nevertheless, I have an upcoming East Contra Costa County Habitat Conservancy meeting, which will be our last one of the year. And like I said last time, I'm hoping that we are able to get the Roddy Ranch reclamation project underway. And it looks like that's a really good possibility. So knock on wood, because 5 to 10 years from now, it'll be a great place for all of us to spend the afternoon and get out there and look at the wildlife and all the reclamation that they have there. Anyway, so that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Wolf. Councilmember Diaz.
Thank you. I've been working with the chair from the Clayton Business and Community Association on the setting up for the decorations, which, will, as noted, will be taking place this Saturday, beginning around 9 a.m. We will have also helping us the Morgan Territory Community Association and their trucks and trailers to help us put this all together, as well as I've been working with the chair for the tree lighting ceremony, which will be coming up on Saturday, December 3rd. On the 11th, attended the Veterans Day commemoration at over in Concord by their ballparks, and being a veteran myself, was very, very heartwarming to see the number of people turning out for that. And I also want to recognize and thank former Planning Commissioner Frank Gavidia, who also is a veteran of the Marine Corps, and he was out there as well. But it was a wonderful ceremony, and lots of people in attendance, and it was well received. We started last night with the Art and Wine Committee. That's coming up. Where is this year gone? And I was just talking with Raina earlier today, and we said we didn't know what was happening, but she was sort of surprised that we had started the planning for the Art and Wine, which is on the 29th and 30th of April of next year. But the committee work starts, and we were doing that last night. Let's see, this morning I met with our new police chief and our city manager, and just staying on top of things that are going on here in the city. And it was a very great tribute to Rich McKeechin this evening with all of the people that were in attendance. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Diaz. I had a chance to meet with Transpac last Thursday, and just remember that we were talking with the Mount Diablo Unified School District and some of the transportation challenges that happen during the morning and the afternoon commutes as they do pick up, and some of the budget challenges that the school district has. It was one of the things that was kind of interesting to me. What I heard is that the school district, Mount Diablo Unified School District, used to be in charge and paying for all the school crossing guards, and they don't pay for that anymore because of their budget challenges. And there are only 2 cities that actually pay for their crossing guards, and that is Pleasant Hill and Clayton. And Pleasant Hill is considering challenges with their funding on that as well. So it's just something to be aware of. Appreciate our considering that and making that a budget priority for our safety of our children. I also attended the Veterans Day ceremony. It was great to see Councilmember Diaz, former Planning Commissioner Mr. Gavidia, and our 2 past mayors, Keith Hayden and Pete Lawrence, were there as well as proud veterans. It was a well done. If you don't know, our VFW is actually staffed or headed by 2 Clayton residents, or 1 Clayton resident and his wife, who does a lot of work, Mark Stonberg and Helen, and really appreciate them for their continued efforts on behalf of our veterans. I also attended the Art and Wine setup meeting last night. That was the first time I'd been on that, and those people who run that know exactly what they're doing and have been doing it for a long time, and they could probably do it in their sleep. And I really appreciated their expertise and the passion which they brought to that committee and what they do for our town. All of CBCA is like that, and it's wonderful that we're continuing to grow and be a part of our community. And lastly, I had several questions regarding what's happening at CMEX plant. I had a communication with our local newspaper regarding some of the concerns that are associated with that. I had communication with their Director of Environmental Affairs about their best available control technologies, or BACT, relative to their emissions from their facility and their trucks, as well as their monitoring. They do monitoring for particulate matter less than 10 microns. Up to 10 microns, it's called PM10 monitoring. They have continuous monitoring. They have monitoring systems at their facility, upwind, downwind, and on site. And they assured me that they are on top of it and they are in compliance with local regulations. There's no new emissions that are exceeding it any different from previous years. As a matter of fact, it's more challenging is in the past couple of years because it's drier. It's much drier, so they have to use more water to cause the suppression of that dust. I was satisfied with some of the communication, and I'm looking forward to continuing conversations with them. And with that, that's the end of my report, and we're going to close item number 6B. and move on to item number 7, which is public comment for non-agenda items. And this is, again, your time for those of you who are in our audience or those of you out there virtually to speak for 3 minutes on whatever topic that you desire that's not on our agenda. And as I've said the whole year I've been here at the front of the dais, is that please keep your comments respectful and kind and address us as one body. We're doing the best we can. Even though we have different opinions on policy sometimes, we're still doing the best we can, the best way we know for Clayton. And with that, I don't see any hands in our audience or cards on my desk. So, Janet, do we have any hands in the audience, in the virtual audience?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Okay. Wow. And with that, item number 7.
I think there is one.
There is one that keeps going hand up and then down. It happened again.
Well, we'll be patient.
Larry, you've been promoted to panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you guys hear me?
Larry, we can.
Okay. Hey, how you guys doing? City Council people, I'm glad to hear that everyone's doing great, and thank you for this time. I think there's a lot of exciting things going on in Clayton, and I'm assuming after the long battle with everybody on the City Council and moving forward, I'm hoping to see a good change coming into the next year. My direct questions to you guys is that I'm still an advocate for small businesses, and I'm reaching out to you to talk to you about what we need to do to move forward with the ARPA funds. I have recently been reaching out to other cities to find out how they're doing and where they're at with the situation that they're in, and most of the cities have finalized what they've done in financing or helping other small businesses at this time. And we are still behind on this. I know that our ARPA funds have been an opportunity for you because they did not give us that much money. And at this point in time, ARPA has made it clear that the city of Clayton could do what they want. And as a business owner for almost 12 years now, and speaking for the other businesses, we are still struggling. Some people don't realize to see that, but we are. And for myself in general, I've had to take a second job, and so have other people in the Safeway Shopping Center had to do stuff, work longer hours and everything. I do know that there's about $1.4 million left over. And I'm asking you as a council to really sit down to figure this out. And if you guys are not going to help the small businesses, I would appreciate that you as a council would take the time to make that decision sooner than later to let us know as small businesses. I think the city of Clayton, not only having a great residence, is also a foundation of small businesses that work really hard for a lot of people to not have to go into Walnut Creek. And we need to keep that in mind. We're not asking for a lot, but I do want to explain to you all that there is a difference between a business owner, for myself, which is an establishment license, a lease agreement, and a business license. And I do appreciate what you guys have done in the past. But as a actual owner of a business, we still need a little help. So I'm asking you guys to take the time and think about that. And hopefully I get to run into some of you during the holiday seasons and we'll chit chat more. But I want to say thank you for everything that you're going through. And I appreciate your guys' time, and keep peace and keep going forward. Thank you for your time, you guys.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate your comments. Janet, are there any other hands raised?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
Excellent. With that, we will close public comment and bring it back. Go to item number 8, which is public hearings, for which there is none. We'll go now to item number 9, action items. Action item number 9A is to discuss a process for the city manager recruitment, a potential interim city manager appointment, and appointing a city council ad hoc subcommittee to assist in the city manager recruitment process for an interim and permanent city manager. And with that, we get to turn it over to you, Raina.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As I mentioned at our last council meeting, that I would come back to you with more information on a process for recruitment for a new city manager as well as an interim city manager. That item is before you this evening. There are really 4 components that I am asking for direction on this evening from the council. I'll go through all 4 of them, and then obviously I can handle them individually if there are questions. One is to get agreement and direction that we will use a recruiting firm for recruitment, particularly of the permanent city manager. The interim we may be able to do without that, but a recruiting firm, executive recruiting firm for recruitment of a city manager. Second is to identify or confirm a funding source such as the rainy day fund for the cost of that recruitment. That will typically be between $27,000 and $29,000. So just in terms of what's available in the rainy day fund, it's $116,000. There are other reserve funds. That's probably the simplest to take it from, and there is sufficient funding there. The third component is to appoint an ad hoc to assist in the recruitment process. Really, the purpose of an ad hoc is kind of on the front end and on the back end of the process to help facilitate the selection of a recruiting firm, to be the preliminary contact point for questions on logistics and the brochure and other kind of administrative functions for the recruitment process. And then on the end, that's typically an ad hoc is authorized relative to negotiation with the selected candidate. So the middle of the process, which is the recruiter briefing the council on the candidates, the council deciding who they're going to interview, doing the interviews, those are all done by the full council typically. And obviously the final contract would be dealt with by the full council, but it can be helpful in streamlining to have an ad hoc for some of those pieces at the beginning and end of the process. And then the fourth piece is to make a decision and consider whether if we're using a recruiting firm and if there's an ad hoc, should the ad hoc be authorized to review the proposals from the recruiting firms, interview as needed, and select, and then direct the manager to execute the contract? It is within my signature authority under $30,000. Or do all of that and then make a recommendation to the full council to approve the contract with the recruiting firm. The advantage of having the ad hoc be able to make the selection and direct the execution of the agreement is that it is a faster process if the council is comfortable that they can authorize the ad hoc to do that. If not, I would recommend, just given timing and wanting to streamline, that the ad hoc go through that process, and we consider potentially a special meeting at the end of November for execution or final selection of the recruiting firm and authorizing execution of the agreement. The reason for suggesting that as a potential option is that December 6th will be our certification of election results and rotation. We typically do not have any other discussion items on that agenda. We could certainly do that, but that has been the practice and is the practice in most jurisdictions. And if we didn't do it on December 6th, we wouldn't do it until December 20th, and that would be an almost month delay in the process, which I think would not be a wise direction, just given how much we want to push that forward. So those four things, again: agreement to use a recruiting firm, identification or confirmation of the funding source, the appointment of an ad hoc, and the decision on whether the ad hoc makes the selection of the recruiting firm or whether ultimately that comes back to the full council. With that, I would be happy to go back over any of those pieces or answer any questions.
Thank you, Raina.
Oh, I'm going to add one more thing. I apologize. I meant to do this. In anticipation that the council may choose to use an executive recruiting firm, I have reached out to 5 recruitment firms. 4 of them have submitted proposals. The recruitment firm that was used for the last 2 recruitments, including the one where I was brought on, has not submitted a proposal, so they won't be part of this round of process. But the other 4 firms got back to me with proposals. They're all reputable, well-known recruiters in the area with a great deal of expertise in performing these types of recruitments and working with city councils on them. And so, as I mentioned, the costs for those proposals are from about $27,000 up to about $29,000. So they're all very comparable in terms of price. I have those available for an ad hoc if that's the direction the council moves, so that we can continue to push this process forward quickly. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that we're ready to hit the ground running on that process, pending these other decisions this evening.
Thanks, Raina. So with that, we'll bring it to council for questions. Are there any questions? Vice Mayor Tillman.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check what's been done historically the last few years. It looks like from here it's been the ad hoc committee was made up of the council members currently serving as mayor and vice mayor. Has that been the case? And I guess I'm looking maybe to Jim since he's been here longer. It sounds like that's happened the last time that you did it, possibly the time before that. Jim, do you know if it was that way prior to that? It was always that way? Okay.
There is no requirement, however, that it be the mayor and the vice mayor.
Sure.
And again,
But that was the protocol before.
it was. We do have the timing issue because we will have some level of rotation effective December 6th. So that's something Councilmember Wolf should probably not be selected for the ad hoc because that would be disruptive when he then rotated off the council. But that is just something to consider, is that the timing is a little bit different this time.
Are there any other questions, council? He likes the red. All right. With no other questions from council, we'll open it up to public comment, and not seeing any cards or hands in the audience here. Are there any hands in our virtual audience?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Thank you. With that, we will close public comment and bring it back to discussion. There is a history of using a recruiting firm to hire a city manager. I think that's the general. It's worked in the past. We can talk about the funding source. I just want to say it doesn't make sense to do vice mayor and mayor at this time as a head in this current position. I will go ahead and put on the table. I think that I have a lot of confidence in our budget and audit committee. I've said that previously with conversations with even selecting our financial sustainability committee. The fact that the two of you will continue on council, I'm assuming based on the current vote count that's going to be the case. I would think that would make a lot of sense for the two of you to be a part of that ad hoc committee from my standpoint, rather than going with protocol. That makes sense. That's my take on this. And I'm just going to say, I think that the ad hoc committee should hop on it, get going as quick as possible, and give them the keys to make it happen, to select the firm, as well as get into the negotiations. That's just throwing it all out there on the table. As far as the funding source, I'm open to that.
I think the rainy day fund makes the most sense. It's easy. It's kind of what it's there for. So wait, you had 4 questions. Ad hoc committee, or wait, sorry.
Hire a recruiter, yes or no?
Rainy day,
Rainy
or funding
day.
source, I recommend the rainy day fund. Ad hoc committee, yes.
And who who is on the ad hoc committee.
Get
And
to
then
that.
the last one is just
Authorization to execute based on recommendation. I think that's a good thing as well, just because of timing. So that's good.
Are there any other suggestions on who might want to serve on, who else you would have in mind to serve on the ad hoc committee? I'm throwing that out there.
I would love to participate.
Excellent. If there's not any discussion, I would see that a motion for using a recruiting firm, the funding source as the rainy day fund, an ad hoc committee consisting of Vice Mayor Tillman and Councilmember Juan, and giving them the keys to negotiate and select the recruiting company firm, as well as working on the contract afterwards. Let's give them the full bump.
And executing them.
And executing it, of course.
With the recruiting firm.
With the recruiting firm. So that's the 4 items that you requested. That's my suggestion. Is there anybody who has an alternative to that? If not, I entertain a motion for that.
You just made the motion. I'll second it.
All right. Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz?
I'm going to pass for the minute because you didn't have any comment, or after the motion had been made and seconded, I thought there would be a little discussion.
Let's table for a second and discuss.
Jim, I'd like your comments, please.
I'm not trying to hold up the parade here. I'm just wondering. Here we are, the last meeting right now in November, and the next meeting will be as currently scheduled, December 6th, which will be the organizational meeting of the council. I'm just wondering if we have to put in motion the ad hoc committee at this point. That's the only question I have.
I like your question. I understand it because of the shuffle of the organization is going to happen. I think given the fact that we're going to lose 3 weeks if we don't do that, it will be behind the 8 ball, and I'd like to get them started now. And I think there's a certain stability, at least visible stability, with the people we've selected or suggested to be on the ad hoc committee at this time.
Since we're still discussing, I'll jump in and say I think that makes the most sense so that we don't lose ground, especially if we're going to try to have a special meeting at the end of this month.
We don't need the special meeting if we do it this way.
Perfect. Good. Even better. Even better.
I'm sorry.
Well, you and I will need to have meetings.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
It gives us time to have, if it's us, it gives us time to have meetings even before the 6th, if possible, if necessary. So, or we could just call each other. Does it have to be Brown? It's just we could just talk to each other?
It's ad hoc. So
Perfect.
It's not subject to the Brown Act.
Awesome.
Yeah, we don't need
Good.
to notice or anything.
Okay,
like
good.
that.
Perfect.
I think because time is of the essence, and I don't think losing the several weeks is a good idea. So I think that the only other alternative then is if there's someone else that wants to do it, you want to do it.
I'm the one who suggested the 2 of you, so I'm good with that.
That to me is the only other option at this point, other than waiting until December 20th.
Not a good idea.
That would be the next logical regular council meeting for it to come back to the council as a whole, which would definitely delay the process.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Are there any other discussion before we call the roll? All right, seeing none. Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz? Yes. Councilmember Juan?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tillman?
Aye.
Mayor Cloven?
Aye. With that, item number 9A passes 5-0.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to item number 10, which is closed session, for which we have none. And then on to item number 11, which is council items for future meetings. Are there any? Okay. been a priority that when a council member brings up something for suggestion on item number 11, that it's cataloged and it's reviewed and it's brought back to the council at some point as quick as protocol as possible. It's for any council member to say they haven't had their voice. It doesn't make any sense, because this is the time where you get to bring up anything you want. And I know we've been diligent as staff and as mayor with regard to the agenda to try to bring back anything that council members have brought back to the council and the agenda in the future. And that way, anybody who perceives himself as a minority voice or a lower gets their voice. This is what item number 11 is. And I've been very clear about getting what you request on the agenda, and I think that will be something that should be followed up on by future mayors. And I just want to be clear that I've been conscious about that during my time as mayor, is to make sure your voices and your requests have been heard. Are there any items here on item 11 that you can be put on the agenda for the future? Yes, Vice Mayor Tillman.
At the mayor's conference, the mayor of Pinole, Vincent Salimi, had shared a resolution in support of human rights in Iran, and he is urging other cities to adopt similar resolutions. I can forward a copy of all of that. Raina might have it. She was also on the call, but if not, I can forward it around for us to consider doing in the future.
Thank you. Yes, by all means.
Okay, I meant to add to my report, and Councilmember Diaz brought this up, but December the 3rd, CBCA Christmas in the Grove, 6 o'clock downtown in the Grove, music, and there'll be Santa Claus, of course, and the kids will be singing. So come on down to the Grove. Everybody's welcome. It's a free event. CBCA Christmas in the Grove, 6 o'clock downtown, December 3rd.
Excellent. And with that, item number 11 is closed. And we move on to item number 12, which is adjournment. And I'm going to call the meeting at 8:13 p.m. Thank you all for being here.